Hello and welcome to the Top Order Podcast. Day 16 of the Cricket World Cup. Australia, Pakistan, massive game, massive scores. All of that coming up right after this. Raj, is Australia good again? Huge score, huge opening partnership, and what turned out to be a nice win in the end.
Yeah, look, real dominance in the end by Australia. They were great with the bat early. They faltered a little bit towards the end, but ultimately they had enough runs on the board. And then, even though they didn't take wickets early, they were quite disciplined, especially the likes of Josh Hazlewood, and a particularly great outing for Adam Zampa. You know, it ticked all the boxes for Australia, and they're now in the top four. So yes, Australia is great again, Stu.
Does that mean we have to also talk about David Warner right now? Obviously, I think to start with, again, I thought it was very interesting that Pakistan batted first. Won the toss and decided to bowl first, sent Australia in. We talked a little bit about that in the last couple of games, how I feel like these pitches, they can see that they're very good. They can see that, it's hot out there. I don't understand why you would want to put yourself in a situation where, you're going out and you're letting the opposition dictate terms in that sense, even though obviously Pakistan had history of chasing a big score against Sri Lanka, not that long ago. But yeah, I just don't understand why these teams are letting the other teams set the targets.
Yeah, it's almost one of those things where, we've talked so much about, the 250 World Cup. It hasn't turned out to be the 250 World Cup. What is a good score? And if you don't know that, why not let them set a score and try to chase it down? It's not a bad option, especially for these teams in the subcontinent who know how to bat on slower and lower wickets. But yeah, the pitch was great to bat on. It looked like an absolute belter from start to finish. Both innings sort of mirrored each other in that sense. Once the ball started to get a bit older, scoring runs started to get harder. But all in all, a great pitch to bat on, I think.
Yeah, and Australia took full advantage of that first. As we said, Warner and Marsh started, I guess, for Pakistan with an absolutely horrendous review where Shaheen Shah Afridi gets a big edge off Warner onto his pad, is convinced that it's out. But then I think fifth ball, Mitchell Marsh just hits Afridi straight back over his head for six, and it's kind of game on. I was talking to Baldy at the time, actually, while that was happening. He described it as the Oprah Winfrey show, too many freebies going on, which I thought was very good. So I thought I had to throw that in here. But yeah, the way Australia went about things was very, very impressive, I thought, Raj.
Yeah, look, at the top of the order, they really, we talked about setting a platform every day, but yeah, they absolutely set a platform. They scored quickly, 100 off the first 10 overs, and they were just utterly dominant. What did you make, before we talk specifically about David Warner, which, I'm trying to delay as much as possible, what did you make of the drop catch and the initial bowling from the Pakistani?
Oh, that drop catch it's just horrendous, wasn't it? I mean, Usama Mir has just been brought into the side for Shadab Khan. Another thing we've talked about quite a bit about every time we've talked about Pakistan, we've talked about how Shadab Khan hadn't really looked at his best. Babar sort of tried to play it down and sort of said, just trying some different combinations. But I think it was more trying a combination without Shadab Khan, the way he'd gone so far in this World Cup. He just hadn't looked at his best. But yeah, Usama Mir, he'll want that one back. That was pretty bad. And to not even get a hand on it when it was a very, very simple catch, and then for it to cost, I think, about 150 runs was pretty awful. And as I said, for Pakistan, their opening spells, I think they'll be disappointed that they were a bit all over the place. Shaheen Shah Afridi actually was the best of them and proved to be the best of them at the end as well. But yeah, the rest of the Pakistani bowlers, they couldn't find a consistent line and length, and Australia took full advantage.
Yeah, I actually, talking about Usama Mir there, I actually I think his figures are a lot worse than he actually bowled. I thought he actually bowled okay, but he would always give away that boundary ball or the six ball on this occasion when he was bowling. But he actually played a big part in bringing Australia back from the tens they were going at or the eights they were going at. I think the real shock for Pakistan would have been that Haris Rauf was just ineffective and, in fact, inflated, bloated that run rate. Went for 20 odd, I think 24 off his first over.
Yeah.
And they were just clean coming out of the middle off both openers, both Australian openers' bats. But it would have been a real shock for them to get to about the 17th over and just not being able to have an impact at all. Just the batsman just free flowing, easily able to score. 450 looked on the cards. I think I texted you guys and I said 400 plus here, but I think Pakistan could chase it down. I actually think there needs to be a little bit of a big up for the bowling trio there of Iftikhar, Usama, and Mohammad Nawaz. I think that even though they have gone at so they have gone at a reasonable rate, except for Iftikhar, who was at fours. They actually pulled the game back from what it could have been. They found the right lengths and particularly the right speed on this pitch to be bowling spin, and I think they were okay. But 367 against you, at any time is going to have to be a go back to the drawing board moment, I think.
It's a funny one, isn't it? The game that we are watching at the moment, where we're saying 367 is quite a good effort. When a few years ago that seemed like record scores and no chance of chasing it down. I guess we should talk about Warner and Marsh, and I might just talk a little bit about Marsh because I thought that the way he played was really, really impressive. Just hitting down the ground when he's hitting straight back over the bowler's head, he looks sort of almost unstoppable at times, and he looks like he can, a bit like Daryl Mitchell when Mitchell does that. He can almost walk at the bowler and just hit them back over their head from any length. And Marsh did that really, really well. It was how he was able to, exert his dominance, I guess, and keep himself at a run a ball while Warner was going well over a run a ball and then, put the foot down. And I don't know. I mean, I find it hard to say too many nice things about Warner, but in fairness, I actually have, since I guess he copped a lot of criticism, mainly around that IPL and a bit of a loss of form. He's lost a little bit of form in test matches. He's going to retire from that format of the game. And I do think it's impressive the way he's kind of said, look, I'm still here. I'm still good enough to perform at this level. And, to come out and do this in a game that really, really mattered. I mean, we mentioned that he was dropped, but if Australia had lost this game, they would have been just about out of 1 foot out of this World Cup. I don't think that's, a crazy thing to say. So, yeah, huge performance, and to get them to a score where we're saying 360 was a disappointment, I think is a huge credit to both Warner and to Marsh.
Yeah, look, David Warner's batting, when he's on, when he has been given this second chance that he was given, he's just incredibly impressive. He's got an all-round game. The sixes that he hit were actually massive. Some of them were massive sixes. And he just has the knowledge of the game or the situational awareness to know when he needs to just up it a little bit and when he can just consolidate it. And he really showed that throughout this innings. I can't speak highly enough of how good that 100 was. It really was a big daddy 100. Mitchell Marsh, I know it's very hard to be critical of someone to score 100, but I think we actually were able to see his weaknesses as a one-day batsman here, where between like 70 and 100, he really got stuck. They were going at over eights, and during that period, he actually the run rate came back down to almost 6. During that period, there were a lot of dot balls, which he was able to pick out fielders. That's when Pakistan started resting that momentum back. But he kicked on towards the end there, and you can't take that score away from him, even though he did have a little bit of hardship through the middle. He did a great job up front, and he closed well, and he set up the game for someone like a Maxwell, a Marcus Stoinis, to come in and really ram that advantage home, but that didn't happen. But incredible opening partnership from Australia, and it set up the game for them. It was a difference in the end.
Yeah, I mean, how much do you think we need to be critical of that Australian the way they finished, I guess, because you look at those two big scores. You mentioned it before that Maxwell, Stoinis, it was all set up for them. Maxwell comes out, gets out first ball, trying to have a big heave ho with about 16 overs to go. I mean, fair enough. That was probably the plan. Come up to 3, really, really go hard. But then you look down the rest of that lineup, and Stoinis is the next highest scorer at 21, and no one was able to even really get themselves in for 10 balls and then get cracking. I mean, I think it'll probably get in a few days, it'll get lost, and no one will be too concerned about it. They've scored a huge score and won comfortably in the end. But I don't know. Do you think we should be critical? Do you think we should worry at all about what happened there, or is it just a case of, look, that was completely fine. We've got a massive score. It's all good.
Yeah, I think it's one to sort of have concerns over, but almost put in the back of your mind if you're in part of the Australian cricket side there. They did lose 9 wickets for 108 and their last 6 for only 38. So there's a massive collapse. There's a massive crumble towards the end there. Could it have cost them? Possibly, if Rizwan and Babar had built on the platform that they were given. But look, ultimately, they've done the job up front. They changed their order in order to capitalise on that with a few dashes thrown up the order there. But I do think that it's something to keep in the back of your mind if you are playing against Australia. If they do get a good start, you can really fight back through that middle with them. I think that there is a real weakness there at the moment, and Baldy's mentioned it a couple of times. Definitely a weakness for them.
I guess we move to Australia now, and with their effort with the ball. Pakistan again made a really nice start. You mentioned it, I think, up top that Hazelwood did a really good job in his opening spell. I think actually thought he did a brilliant job throughout the whole innings. I think, but that opening spell, 5 overs for 18. I thought Mitchell Starc and Pat Cummins really struggled to kind of find their line and length as well, in a similar way that some of the Pakistan bowlers did, Ralph and Hassan. But Pakistan set the platform again. Shafique and Imam. It was all set up for them to follow the same platform really as what happened in the Sri Lanka game. Where did it kind of go off the rails a little bit for them? I know 370's a big score, but they were on track for long periods of that game to really make this the one of the big. This could have gone down to the wire. It seemed like it was going to for big chunks of that Pakistan innings, and then it just didn't quite get there in the end.
Yeah, look, and I think I'm gonna redirect the question to you actually, because I think that a real difference maker, along with the Australian openers, was Adam Zampa. He needed a good outing. He'd been struggling a little bit, but I think that his bowling was a massive contributor to this win, and taking wickets regularly, especially big wickets. What did you make of his performance?
Yeah, spot on. I thought it was excellent. I thought he did a really, really nice job, and the way he was able to, again, we've talked at length really about spinners and how important it is to read the pace that they need to bowl on these wickets, and I think that's what Zampa did really, really nicely. He was able to, he started reasonably well, but then once it got into the back end of the innings, he came on. They talk, often hear about Babar and the matchup against leg spin. He's had some troubles with leg spin in the past, and when Babar and Rizwan were in, huge platform there for Pakistan. Adam Zampa skids one through, Babar hits it to Cummins, good catch there at mid-wicket. But then I think the big moment was the Iftikhar LBW. He was able to, Zampa again, kind of skid one through, pushed Iftikhar back, and manages to hit him on the pad and picks up that wicket. And as soon as Iftikhar went, as you say, they were able to just pick up wicket after wicket every time that, even Saud Shakil was going nicely there. Before Iftikhar, they were able to pick up a wicket. Pakistan they built that really nice platform, but no one went on. There were a lot of good starts, a lot of good scores, but no great scores like there was in the Australian innings. And getting back to Zampa, I think that the way he was able to just manage the innings and manage every over, he was able to try to kind of get out of his overs without too much damage. He was able to, build some pressure by building some dots, making it hard to hit boundaries. And when he was able to do that, it forced Pakistan to take risks, forced them to try and make something of his skiddy balls, try and go back and cut, try and go back and pull the ball like Babar did, and didn't really work out. And I thought he was excellent. Borley asked for more from him in the last a couple of games ago, and now he's delivered with consecutive four-fers and really looks like someone who could contribute to them sort of making a semi-final push now.
And with the lineup, the look that they've gone there, having Stoinis and Maxwell as the fifth bowler, 10 overs, 2 for 80. Is that acceptable to you? Like, well, what do you see that as a danger? Do you think they need to change that? What do you reckon going deeper into this tournament?
Here in the studio, we'll get back on track. The way that Zampa where were we, Raj?
No, I think you just might have a look at your microphone settings as well. I think you might be talking through your laptop. Look, I think that having those two there is actually a bit of a weakness. It's the same thing we've talked about with the New Zealand cricket team, just making up that fifth bowler. When you have the likes of Pat Cummins and Mitchell Starc, I'm going to say being taken to the cleaners just on run rate in terms of scoring there. You kind of need someone to be able to have a handbrake or to throw in there that they can sort of wrest momentum back a little bit or work on something, whether that is taking wickets or stopping runs. I don't think Maxwell and Stoinis regularly do either. Stoinis was really good today when he broke that initial partnership with his first ball that he bowled. However, I don't know if that's going to be a regular occurrence for them. I think it's a real weakness, that fifth bowling option for Australia. And with the fact that they're struggling with their middle to lower order, it's a recipe for disaster, I think, when we go deeper into the tournament.
I think the thing is, though, that most sides are doing this, right? You mentioned it, New Zealand, like a lot of teams out there are going, okay, we can kind of get our fifth bowler. There's going to be a lot of runs in this tournament. They scored 360. I think teams are saying, well, we've got, we can patch together. We've got enough bowling options that we can patch together a fifth bowling option, and we're going to trust our four specialists to do a job. I mean, Pakistan even today, Harris Rauf went for 59, I think, off his first 4 overs, and they said, look, you're still a good bowler. You're still going to come back and bowl at the death. And he actually came back and I think went for only about 20 odd in his last 4 overs. So did a wonderful job there. But I think it's going to be something that Australia is going to look at. And they're certainly not the side on paper, or at least the side that we absolutely fear, and that they've got no flaws in their game. I think as you said, there are flaws in their batting at the moment. There are flaws in the bowling, but to now win 2 on the bounce and then look ahead at their fixtures and you think they could string a few together. And obviously, as a New Zealand fan, always Australia causes problems. So I'm looking at that game in a week or so's time and thinking, oh no, Australia's kind of back now.
And I guess my one more question to sort of round it out, and it covers both teams, is since the late 90s, early 2000s, cricket has been a 3-facet game. You need to be able to bat, bowl, and field. Some of the fielding by both these teams was actually quite horrendous. Abbott early on dropped one over the boundary for 6. We've got the big one with Usama Mir dropping Warner early on. What do you see for these teams going forward? What do you think the best teams will be? Cashing in on that third facet of the game.
Look, I think it's a huge factor. It was a huge factor in New Zealand's game against Afghanistan. I think it's a huge plus for India last night against Bangladesh. The sides that are going to do the job and be disciplined with ball, with bat, and in the field. The field, catches win matches, right? It's a ridiculous sort of cliche, but it's true, and it cost Pakistan dearly today. Australia's 20 for 1 or 15 for 1 or whatever they would have been, and it's a completely different game. So, look, if sides aren't going to do the basics right, then they're going to struggle in this World Cup, because you've got to take wickets, you've got to take them through the middle, you've got to make these other players work hard to get themselves into their innings. And if you're going to let partnerships develop, teams are going to score quickly, and you're going to have a really tough ask on your hands as you go through this tournament to chase any score down or even strict even if you've got a big score. So, yeah, it's going to be crucially important that every team does the basics right if they want to try and get W's in the tournament. I think that must be about it maybe today, Raj. Anything we want to look forward to over the next couple of days?
Yeah, just for me, this game tonight I think is vitally important. South Africa, England. If South Africa manage to win, I think England are close to the red markers starting to come out if England lose tonight. So it's going to be a very, very exciting game. Hopefully, we'll see Ben Stokes back, and we can see a great performance from the South Africans to make a game of it. So it will be interesting to watch.
Absolutely. It'd be a huge shock. Although I remember in our preview show, Vinksy said that he thought at least one of the two finalists from last year, New Zealand and England, I think he might have said actually both, would not make the semi-finals. So yeah, I guess he maybe saw this England side struggling a little bit, but it wouldn't surprise me if they bounce back in the same way that Australia have done, put a big score up against South Africa, and then suddenly we're going, South Africa, the dark horses for the tournament that made themselves favourites for the tournament after a couple of games, are suddenly the ones struggling again, and that table sort of topsy-turvy, and everyone's sort of bunched in the middle there. So yeah, fascinating game overnight. We'll be back again in the morning to talk about the double header. Netherlands and Sri Lanka also playing in the early game tonight. So yeah, big day of cricket ahead. Few struggles for me on the line today, so we'll try and sort that out in the back end. But yeah, it's always fun to come on and talk cricket with you, Raj. We'll be back again tomorrow. Everyone watching the show, as I said yesterday, if you can subscribe and like and comment, it does really make a big difference to how we're getting out there and getting our content out there, and we really appreciate anything you can do on that front. So yeah, please keep doing that, and we'll see you all again tomorrow.